Hello, I'm Maiki Oreta, and welcome to Trade Talks, where we sit down with industry leaders, innovators, and change makers who are shaping markets, challenging norms, and making an impact. Here we explore the strategies that drive progress, the challenges that push industries and communities forward, and the ideas reshaping the way we work and live. What's new? What matters? What's next? Let's find out together. On this episode, we dive into the state of the Philippine economy at a pivotal moment with the midterm elections just weeks away, global uncertainty on the rise, and shifting monetary policies setting the tone for 2025. The Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas is preparing for rate cuts and liquidity injections, fueling optimism, but with external risks mounting. How much room does the central bank really have to maneuver? In a rare one-on-one interview, we sit down with the country's top monetary policymaker, Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas Governor Eli Remolona Jr. With decades of experience at the Bank for International Settlements and the Federal Reserve Bank of New York, he offers a global perspective on the Philippines' economic position, the outlook for interest rates, and what comes next for the financial markets. With inflation in check, expectations are for a 50 basis point rate cut this 2025. Does this align with your own outlook? And given the conditions right now, do you think that that first window for the rate cut will be when the Monetary Board meets on April 10?
April 10 is certainly a possibility for a rate cut. We have to look at the data and then decide. But it's on the table.
Okay, the next window for that would be June. So it's
Yes.
looking more like April, June? What say you, sir?
Can't say. Things are changing so quickly. It's very hard to tell.
All right, what would change the situation to tilt it in favor of a rate cut as soon as April 10?
I think a bit more certainty would help. And then better behaved inflation number.
Yeah. All right. Well, we've been lucky with inflation,
Yes.
sir.
So far, so good.
Yeah, so far so good. Okay. With all the uncertainty coming from the U.S., the Federal Reserve has been hesitant to cut rates. They've been very, very cautious.
Yes,
How
yes.
much flexibility does this give the Bangko Sentral, with the U.S. being so cautious?
It affects our flexibility a little bit. What the Fed does is data for us. It's one of the many
Data
data
points.
points that we consider. It's an important data point. It's one of many.
Yeah, for the world. Okay. How do you see the BSP aligning its policy timeline with the Fed's approach?
We don't try to align ourselves with the Fed. We see what they do and then we decide on what's good for us.
Responsibly.
Yeah.
Moody's expects Philippine GDP to grow by 6% this year. How important are the rate cuts when it comes to sustaining our economic momentum? Or is the Philippine economy resilient enough?
The rate cuts would help support growth, but the impetus for growth won't come from the rate cuts. It will be coming from investment, from consumption, and from our trade.
What's the biggest economic risk that could derail the Philippine economy this 2025?
I think for now it's the uncertainty about what's going on in the global economy.
How would you describe, sir, in your own words, what's going on with the global economy right now?
Right now, our measures of policy uncertainty have spiked, and some markets have responded to that, and some markets have not. So there's clearly a dilemma for markets about what the uncertainty means.
How difficult does that make your job, sir?
It makes it very difficult. But we have a good staff. Yeah, we have a good BSP. So
how would you describe the headwinds this 2025 vis-a-vis the previous years? I mean, we've been through a lot also, the pandemic and
Yes.
everything that brought on. And now this 2025.
It's a very different kind of headwind. We had the supply shocks after the invasion of Ukraine. The oil price shock was a big headwind for us. And then the price of rice, the global price of rice was a big headwind for us. This one is very different. This one is not something that's captured by our models.
And you're doing things out of the box. The cut in the bank's reserve requirement ratio is seen to inject 320 billion pesos into the market. Where do you see this capital flowing first?
We hope it goes into loans and then into investments, loans to businesses and as well as loans to households. So investments and consumption.
It's hard to tell how things will be further down the line, but based on the current economic conditions, do you think a further cut in the reserve requirement ratio for the next half of the year, is that on the table?
That's on the table for sure, yes.
Can you tell us by indications of how much, sir?
Well, right now 5% is where we are. That's still a bit too high. Eventually we want to get to zero. But we want to do it in a deliberate way so that we don't...
How eventually is eventually?
A few years.
Okay, all right. The Philippine banking sector remains stable with NPL, non-performing loan ratios, at its lowest level in a year. Do you see any concerns about asset quality?
There's some concern about especially real estate assets or loans to real estate, but the banks are resilient, very high capital, very high liquidity, so it's not something that would cause a crisis.
With lower interest rates, do you expect to see a pickup in real estate lending and investments?
I think it'll take some time. I think it'll take some time.
How much time, sir, before we start to feel the effects of all of these measures that you guys are doing to support the economy?
I hope not too much time, but these things move slowly, maybe at least a year.
Okay. With the BSP easing interest rates while the U.S. Federal Reserve remains cautious, how do you see the peso to perform in 2025?
Well, the policy rates are just one of the factors that affect the exchange rate. But what has happened recently is other factors have become more important. Geopolitical events have tended to strengthen the dollar and in the process weaken the peso. But in recent weeks, the dollar has weakened and that has strengthened the peso.
Yeah, our peso has been pretty good. Congratulations, sir. The Philippines is officially off the Financial Action Task Force's gray list. This is a big win for us. What led to this and what needs to be done to ensure that we stay off that gray list?
Well, what mainly brought us there was cooperation among the different government agencies. And then we also did more than they asked us to do. We banned POGOs, for example, which was not on the list, but it signaled high-level commitment in the Philippines to fight money laundering, to fight terrorist financing. And
you think that was a key consideration?
I'm sure it was.
Thanks to sound monetary policy and good fiscal governance, the Philippines is the closest it's ever been to that coveted A rating by one of the three big ratings agencies. What needs to be done in order to secure that upgrade?
It's already priced in. Our credit default swap spread is already at single A levels. It's already making borrowing for us cheaper than before. But to make it official,
the
rating
that's what's
agencies,
lacking. We just need to make it official by one of the top three.
I think they're still crossing the T's and dotting the I's.
Any idea on when we might see this become official?
The way they work is they do an outlook first, a positive outlook, and we have a positive outlook from one of them. But they do it in a very deliberate way. So they give us a positive outlook, and then they would upgrade the rating.
We've had very good leaders at the BSP steering us forward. What are the factors that could delay or accelerate this upgrade, sir?
Well, a delay would be probably governance issues that arise, which I don't think is likely. accelerating it, I think we're already doing everything that should give us a single A rating.
Yeah. On to digital banking, fintech, and the future of the financial sector. The BSP has been a big proponent of digital banking, with fintech players gaining ground. How do you see the role of traditional banks evolving in this digital-first environment?
Well, the traditional banks, what we call the legacy banks, they have to keep up. They have to digitalize themselves. And one way they can do that is to do open finance, which means agreeing to connect to the same financial services to make it easier for their customers.
All about connectivity, to make
yeah.
banking even easier.
That's right. Connect to investment products, connect to insurance
Flexibility
products.
and a broader range of investments.
That's right.
Okay. There's also growing discussion about central banks' digital currencies.
Yes.
How serious is the BSP about launching its own digital peso?
We're serious. We have a pilot project on what's called CBDC, Central Bank Digital Currency. We've more or less decided that we will do this only at the wholesale level.
Okay, so not available to you or I, it's
Not
just
available
banks.
to us.
Okay.
It will be available to banks.
Okay, well, we have to start somewhere.
We have to start somewhere.
And
yes.
a timeline, sir, if you can give us an indication.
I think the CBDC should be, it's already making progress. It should be available in a couple of years, if we like it, if it works. We also have this project called Nexus, which connects our currency digitally to other currencies. It's called Nexus. That should be operational in 2 years.
Okay, and what will that do for the financial system in the country,
It's
sir?
going to make it easier for our OFWs to send money. It's going to be cheaper. And businesses to pay for their imports, and for our
It's the
exporters
future of
to receive
digital
payment.
banking.
Yes.
Yeah,
yes,
okay.
yes.
Speaking of digital banking, the BSP's moratorium on banking license since 2021 has limited new entrants.
Yes.
However, you've given 6 this year,
Yes.
and there are 4 more available for the balance
Yes.
of 2025. Can you talk to us about the possibilities for these 4 new companies that will be given digital banking licenses?
Yeah, so we've said that there are 4 more licenses that are newly available, and we've seen very promising applicants for those licenses, not just local applicants, but foreign applicants, some of them with very successful business model. So we're looking for digital banks that have a business model that works. That is a kind of a new strategy for making loans especially.
So what's that criteria, sir? Given that you've already given 6 away,
Yes,
is the
yes.
criteria getting stiffer? Ngayon na 4 more ang
It's
natira.
getting more competitive.
And that's good, because once you grant the 4, it
Yeah.
becomes more competitive for us, which makes it easier to do.
It makes it easier for the consumer
Yeah.
because we will get better products.
Okay. Looking ahead in 2025, what area, what industry do you feel will get the biggest impact, benefits from all the efforts of the BSP with the rate cuts, with a cut in reserve requirement ratio?
I hope it's investments. We need more investment. We're always good at consumption, but
Yeah.
I'm hoping for more investments, especially
From foreigners, yeah.
in high-tech industries, in pharmaceuticals, for example.
Yeah, with everything that's going on in the West,
Yes.
Global investors are looking to other markets
That's right. That's
to
exactly
diversify
right.
and to earn more. And what are the biggest green flags for them to come to the Philippines, sir?
Well, because of our exit from the gray list, the correspondent banking relationships will be restored.
It's a red carpet.
It's a red
Yeah.
carpet, and potential investors are already asking about the Philippines, exactly to diversify their investments.
What's your messages to businesses, investors, companies as they look to navigate the global headwinds and everything that's happening this 2025 overseas and here at home?
I think they should look very closely at the Philippines. Foreign investors should. The Philippines is a good opportunity for diversification, and they would be welcome here.
Okay. Governor, what do you love the most about what you do, leading the BSP, shaping monetary policy? What about it excites you?
Well, it excites me that I can work with very talented people. It excites me that I can be doing something that will help the country. Excites me that I have interviews like this.
And sir, what does it take to run the BSP in an environment like 2025? So many things being thrown at you.
There's so many things going on. I think it takes a lot of focus, and I think it takes a sense of humor to survive this world.
If you could teach a new subject in school, what would that subject be?
I would like an old subject to be taught better. I'd like math to be taught better to Filipino kids.
Why, sir?
Because math is a foundation of all the new things that are going on. Digital technology, even physics, even economics.
Yeah, so strengthen that foundation. Okay, what's one financial habit every Filipino should start doing today?
I think something that every Filipino should do more of is saving money. Forget that fancy watch, forget that big party, just save your money.
One word to describe the Philippine economy right now.
I would say the Philippines is exciting.
What makes it exciting, sir?
There's so many opportunities for investments in the Philippines.
Yeah, there's one way to look at it. See it as the challenges, or
Yes.
see it as the new windows
Yes,
that are
yes.
popping up on account of these challenges. Okay, rate cuts, aggressive or gradual? What's the smart approach given the conditions in 2025?
The smart approach is baby steps. As long as we're on track, we want to do a little bit at a time.
And when do we see the first one?
Possibly in April, but we're looking at the data.
Okay, Gov, where would you put your money today? Stocks, bonds, or real estate?
That's a tough one because the choices are not so appealing. That's why we're working on deepening the capital markets so that we would have good choices for our investments for
Yeah.
everyone.
Fintech and digital banks. Are traditional banks moving fast enough to compete?
I think they have to move even faster because the competition is getting stiffer. For example, they need to go into open finance, give their account holders more access to the financial markets and to insurance markets.
Yeah, and they need to. Competition is increasing. There are
Yes.
going to be 4 more digital
That's
licenses
right, that's
given
right,
out this
that's
year.
right.
Okay, what is the most underrated strength of the Philippine economy?
The most underrated strength of the Philippine economy is its people. I think we're a very good opportunity for diversifying global investments.
Okay, and your advice to the youth, to the ones that want to get into the finance sector. What advice can you give the youth of the Philippines that want to look into this space?
To the youth, I would say, learn your math. We're very good at singing, we're very good at dancing, we're not so good at math. And I think that's what we need from the youth.
And the qualities it takes to become a central banker, to be a good central banker, sir?
I think the ability to look at many different things at the same time.
Balance and juggle, so
Yeah.
that when all these things are thrown at you, you can center yourself and do what you need to do.
That's right, that's right.
Thank you, sir, for the work that you do and for the time that you've given for this interview.
Thank you, Maiki. Thank you.